Two, three, four.
I was born by the river in a little tent, and oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard to live it, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause who knows what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming. I know, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. And then I go to my brother, and I say, brother, help me please. And he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, there've been times that I thought, whoa, I wouldn't last too long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Oh, yes it will. It's gonna change. It's gonna change. Oh, yes it will. Oh, yeah. Just get on board. Hear me now. People, get ready for the train to come, picking up passengers from coast to coast. All you need is a little faith, hear the D's or humming. Don't need no ticket, just get on board. People, get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and board up. There's room for all among those loved the most. I believe, oh, I believe, I believe, oh, yeah, yeah, I believe, oh, you don't need no ticket to just get on board. Hear me now. against the kingdom's throne. So people.
Hey everybody, it's Lloyd Spence, and BetOnline and I would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. It's a new year and new updated desktops and mobile websites to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, to get started. From football, basketball, and hockey, boxing and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. And tell them the Noisemaker sent you.
Popcorn World.
Popcorn World. Yeah. Popcorn World. Can I make you move now? Yes, I can. So you can get this move in the back of a can. You can make it round the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn popcorn world. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. Popcorn world. The popcorn world. What's that saying? Breaking down the rumor, I'm smiling now. Speaking for the people who must go around, taking truth to power with a whisper and a shout. We're talking noise. Oh yeah, talking noise. Hey yeah, say it again, say we're talking noise. Yeah, talking noise. Really don't have time to fool around. Never noise keeps us lined up. When truth divine, the sound that you hear is a sign of success. We're talking noise. Oh yeah, talking noise. Yeah, picking up all the sound. We're talking noise. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Talking noise. Say it again. We're talking noise. Welcome to Talkin NOIZ, the daily podcast that brings you up to speed and keeps you informed about real issues affecting real people. With your host, Mr. Talkin NOIZ himself, Lloyd Spence. His beautiful wife, Mrs. Noise, Kenyatta Spence. The ever-informed Brother Noise, Alan Brown. And yours cordially, Uncle Noise, Shake Anderson. Come on in and join us as we reveal and opine today's most pressing issues. Real truth while having real fun. Talkin NOIZ is in your house right now. So sit back and enjoy Talkin NOIZ.
It's jiving. It's not child line.
Hey, we lucky we got
All this other rules.
good time.
It's not that hard to say the right words. You know what I'm saying? Just say it. Yeah.
You know what? She figured she could hit that note at the end so she can say what she damn well please. Because she's about to hit that note.
That's true. She was saving it. She was saving it for something, you know. Or from that perspective, I can't even be mad. Yes. Okay.
There's my beautiful friend, Mama Noise.
Hey, boo. It's good to see everybody. Talkin NOIZ Live Daily Podcast on Facebook, on Twitter, and now back on YouTube. I'm sorry, I said too loud. We're now back on YouTube. All you gotta do is go to Talkin NOIZ Live Daily Podcast, or just Live Podcast, and you'll see it.
LeBaron says we need to go live on Instagram.
Can you go live on Instagram? I've never tried to go live on Instagram.
Because you be shucking and a jiving.
Trucking and a jiving.
You know what? I think he's right because I always, huh?
Where do you see LeBaron at?
Instagram.
He's on Instagram right now?
Yes.
Tell him I say hi.
Tell him turn the kettle off and stop by for a minute.
I gotta get something. Y'all talk amongst yourselves.
Good morning, noisemakers in the Central and Pacific time zone. Good afternoon to those of us in the Eastern time zone.
Eastern and Pontific.
Okay.
Pontific zone.
Sorry.
Don't know where that was.
Okay.
We are doing a show, my brother.
Let me okay, there we go.
It's still gonna pick up his little ratchet mic.
No, I won't. I muted him.
I forgot you had the power.
I got the power. Getting kind of ready.
Feels like when Iron Man took the stones from.
She ain't got no power. I'm Iron Man.
She does. Yeah,
she's Thanos. She thinks she's. Okay. What's going on? Tequila Tuesday. When that happened?
He be changing the dates.
When he be like Tuesday become a thing.
He be like, today is pantsless. I don't know what that is. Thursday.
That is not what that is. It's no draws Thursday. Come on now.
Oh, okay, that's worse. At least I said no pants. You said no draws. That means nothing.
You're way too conservative. We going straight.
We are free.
See, you know what? You just let him. Okay.
You know what song I love? I've been singing it all morning. Shout out to Frat Tony Baker. But I love
gosh.
Look at who you came to see. We the ducks. You better bow when you come to my street. You the duck. I love that. It's my favorite song. It's a hit. It's a hit.
Yes, you have been singing it all morning.
We are
all morning.
Yeah. We are a fully boosted family now. All boosted up and ready to go.
We boosted.
Yep, we got shots, shots on shots on shots on shots.
Shaka-laga.
So we're grateful for the shots.
Okay, Al is having some type of
what is happening right now?
Situation.
He was having a conniption, a fit.
I thought he had some shake weights in his hands.
That's when you're fighting the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Is that what it is?
Terry, son, Terry.
And if you're in the Pentecostal church, that's when they come start slapping on you, like let him out.
Wow. Look at our brother Anthony Bruce has found us again on YouTube.
I still ain't talking to Anthony Bruce because I still ain't got my White Castles. I still ain't talking to him.
Y'all live in the same.
I know he's around in a while, but I still ain't talking to him.
Y'all need to work that out. Y'all need to
I'm
work
just
that out.
saying, y'all local. Work it out.
Need to work that out. It feels. This just feels like
Bruce. Hey, Bruce in the house.
Yeah, he probably be like, I'm still waiting on them oxtails. Like,
touche, nigga.
You know.
Touche.
I don't even eat them sliders. I eat chicken rings. Yeah.
chicken wing. Oh yeah, the chicken rings. Okay.
Them sliders.
Yeah.
Oh man, we got a good show for y'all today. We got a good show for y'all today. We're gonna have some. Well, I don't know if today's show is gonna be fun. It will be informative and very candid.
Well, I know one thing. I got my squad for tomorrow, though.
Yes, tomorrow, Mama Noise has some ladies pulling up for the show. So why do I need a black man? I'm black. I'm a woman. I'm confident, independent, sexy, creative. So why do I need a black man? We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Is it just black man?
What are you talking about?
Did it say why do I need a black man?
That's what it says.
Or why does it say I need a man?
No, black man.
Okay.
That's what listen, Mama Noise. Act like you've been in production.
And see Kyrie in the chat talking about, are they any of them single?
No. No, they are all.
No,
black
all of them are showing up for the VNR Supper Club this weekend. See what I did there?
Tell your squad, don't pull up here. I don't need no man, and just leave it at that.
This squad will not do that.
But
I got a squad that will do that. Please believe it. I have a squad that will do that.
Oh my God. Well, that's true. You got equal parts everything.
Yeah, it's I got the gumbo.
Y'all seeing the 1208?
Huh?
Y'all seeing the 1208 in the chat?
What happened at the 1208? Oh yeah, I don't know what that is. So,
well, I put we need to research if that's a bot or an actual person. So
yeah, I don't know what that is. So
info.
So it's confession time here on Talkin NOIZ. Yesterday during the show,
confession is good for the soul.
Is it? Well, we're gonna see.
That's what I heard, but
we're gonna see here in just a second. So full confession, yesterday during the show, noisemakers. And by the way, thank you for pulling up. Please grab your church fan and your tithing envelope and just find your favorite seat and settle in for the ride here. Yesterday during the show, while we were talking and pontificating about the nastiness of Pastor Michael Todd, thank you, Sean. Sean says it's a bot, so we can get rid of that. We'll
delete that.
Yeah, we can block the user, and there you go. Okay, cool. So yesterday, like I said, during the show, while we were pontificating about nasty pastors and spit and stuff like that, I got a phone call, and the phone call was from a medical examiner in a county that is about an hour away from my home, Denton County. And the medical examiner asked to speak to me. I was like, I wasn't going to answer the phone. It was a weird call because it was somebody I thought I knew, but I didn't know if I knew him. I was like, is this somebody I know? It feels like somebody I know. And so it was Deloitte. Deloitte had me answer the phone. And so when I answered the call, they said, hello, is Lloyd Spence there? And I was like, this is he. And they were like, at that point, I think it's a bill collector. And I'm probably going to hang up in about 5 seconds. So, what?
He said it's a bill collector. I'm about to hang up on him.
Well, because sometimes it be them troll bill. You know what I'm saying? Some kind of troll situation. Have you
now if you said
warranty on your car?
I was gonna say if you said the warranty, I'd have said
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. I said bill collector, but you know what I mean. Like just
okay. I was like,
I'm great. This is not great. Okay. And so she said, hi, I'm the medical examiner. And she said, I'd like to talk to you about something. I was like, okay, well, what is it? And she said, do you know Lloyd Spence Sr.? And I said, yes, I know Lloyd Spence Sr. And she proceeded to tell me that they found Lloyd Spence Sr., who is my biological father. They found him deceased in his apartment yesterday. And I was taken aback, to be perfectly honest with you. I was shocked. And I was like, wow, okay. So she said, well, we're in a situation. And I was like, well, what do I need to do? She said, well, we're going to do it, but we just need to know where to take him. And I'm like, well, I don't know. She said, no, you don't understand. We don't know how he passed. So we either need to do an autopsy, or if you can provide us with medical understanding, we'll take him to the city morgue. Well, full disclosure, I told you today is a conversation about Black fathers. And I will tell you, my biological father and I are estranged from one another, meaning that we know each other, we knew each other, it existed, we have talked, but we did not have the best of relationships. I dare say we really didn't have a relationship other than a very, I don't know how to even describe it, but we'll get into that later. But anyway, she asked me, did I know the medical history? I was like, I don't know anything, to be honest with you. I said, I may be able to get some information for you from somebody that does. So, and this is all during the show, by the way. Shout out to the crew for holding it down the entire time. And it was like y'all didn't know anything was happening. All this was happening in real time. So I called my brother, who was my stepbrother, but we and I are close. And I said, hey man, this is what's going on. And he said, oh, wow. Because he has an estranged relationship with my biological father, which was his stepfather. He's like, well, let me call my mom and see what we need, if she could help. He called his mom couldn't help, make a long story short. Anyway, finally, my biological father's wife's daughter showed up at the apartment and she took care of everything. So they got it all worked out. But it was interesting because I asked the medical examiner, I said, well, he has a wife. Why did you just ask her? And she said, oh, well, she passed in December. And I was like, wow, well, this is, a lot. So I have the greatest family in the world, and not just my immediate family of my beautiful, darling wife and my daughters, but I have the greatest Noise family in the world in Al B and Cuz and Ron and the whole family. And we kind of talked a little bit after the show, and I made a decision. I said, I want to take this and bring this to the noisemakers because Cuz talks about Black fathers quite a bit on this show. In fact, it's daily. In some capacity or another, he is bringing up Black fathers on this show. When he does, he talks about the necessity of the Black father being in the home. He talks about the necessity of the Black father raising his, as he would say, his damn kids. He talks about all those things, and we give him a hard time, but a lot of times some of the things he's saying, we know he's spot on and correct. So yesterday for me was almost like the chickens coming home to roost, because as of yesterday, I am now biologically parentless, which is weird. I have to tell you, it is very strange. And it was a strange thought to have that yesterday and go, wow, I don't have a living parent. That's weird, but that is my reality, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it. So there are many layers to today's discussion that I would like to have with you guys about this whole experience, but more specifically, the fatherhood aspect of it. Because, and again, as we advertised prior to the show, we were going to have a very candid conversation. So here's as candid as it gets. I met my biological father when I was 21, 22. It was the week after I graduated college, literally the week after I graduated college. I was making a decision as to whether or not I was going to go to grad school at Morehead State University or go into the workforce. And I literally took a walk and thank you, LeBaron. I literally took a walk and said, man, I just want to think about and pray about what I should do. Well, I walked away. I came back to where I was staying at the time, and my roommate said, hey, man, you got a call from your Uncle Oliver. And he said, I said, okay. He said, call him back immediately. So I called him back on the calling card. Y'all remember those little calling cards we used to have? I called him back on the calling card. And I said, hey, what's going on? He said, hey, man, I found your father. I was like, that ain't no big deal. My stepfather drives a truck. It's not a big deal. He said, no, I found your biological father. So I met him for the first time that week. And we tried over the years to build the first few years after I graduated college, maybe 2 or 3 years, we tried to build something to see if it could, we could put the past aside and kind of deal with, the realities of our current circumstances. And for about a year or two, it seemed like it was going to work well. It seemed like everything was going to come together and, and be beautiful. And, we'd make up for lost time, this, that, and the other. But as more and more time unfolded, it just never came together. It just never, despite me calling, despite my efforts, despite driving down to see him, despite trying to, bring him his granddaughter, meet his granddaughter just all these different things that I was doing to try to build this bond. And it just never came together. And so I'll be honest with you, I just stopped trying because I was like, I can't be the only one trying to make this guy do what he should want to do, or as I said it the other day or yesterday, I should have to make you love me. If I'm your child, I should have to make you love me. So I just stopped, and it never came together anymore than that. Over the years, my fight to try to make it together became my wife's fight, and she tried several attempts, beautiful as wonderful as she is, to try to bring a reconciliation, but ultimately to no avail. And I don't fault her for any of that. It was not her fault. She did the best she could, but he is who he is. He was who he was. So, so I said all that to say this. Yesterday was the culmination of that reality check that Cuz talks about, because I am, in many ways, the good and the bad of what could happen when a black father is not present. And I wanted to have that discussion with everybody. So I'm bringing it to you now. That's the longest setup we've ever had for this show. So now that I'm done, I want to turn it over to Al and turn it over to Mama Noise for their thoughts on everything and questions that they may have, whatever. And Cuz is here, so there you go. So you already know. So what are you guys thinking? Don't start this melancholy stuff. Huh? We're supposed to be talking.
My bad. Yeah, I was talking. I just was muted.
Okay.
I want to express my condolences and commend you on how you've been able to handle the abrupt news and still remain a pillar of strength for the girls, being your wife and your two daughters. So I want to commend you on that. I can't really express any empathy, of course, because I've lost a father, but I've not lost a mom. So I don't know what it's like to be in a place where both of your biological parents have gone on. So, but I do
very
commend
weird.
you.
It's very weird, I have to say. And I'm gonna tell you something, because somebody asked me, well, how do you feel? And I said, I don't know. Because I don't know. I don't really know how to feel. I was really fine, actually, until I had to tell the girls. And then once I told the girls, a sense of anger kind of came over me and disappointment. Because especially for like Hananiah, because at least Azaria, for whatever it was, she had at least met him 2 or 3 times, right? But Hananiah only met him once, and it was in a big old setting, so she couldn't really spend real time with him or whatever. And so all of her grandfathers are gone. And one of my best memories is like Al, you and I talk about this all the time. One of my best memories are my grandfathers and the lessons that I learned from them and the joy that I had being around them and watching them be men. Our grandfathers were men. I don't know what grandfathers are today, but the ones we grew up with, they just were men. They were car working, cigarette smoking, spades playing, dominoes slamming, onion sandwich eating men. They were just men. And I appreciated having those life lessons from them. And I hate that I feel like my girls get robbed of that. So that has bothered me. But other than that, I don't really know how to feel. So anyway.
Neither one of your granddad is Chew Chewbacca?
No.
Really?
No, only one. My matriarchal grandfather was a cigarette smoker for years until it cost him a half a lung, and he was like, "Oh, I should probably stop this." So, but no, they didn't chew. Well, let me just say this: he didn't chew tobacco in my lifetime. Now, he was in World War II, so maybe in World War II, he was sitting around the barracks and chewing it up. I don't know, but
maybe that was a Southern thing because they would sit out on the porch and have their little spit cans and
yeah.
That
My great granny was a snuffer.
I was gonna say my grandmother did that.
Yeah, some grandmother did it too.
My great granny did.
That's weird that women do it, isn't it?
Yeah, Granny B boy, she was known.
Not in the South.
Not in the
In the
South.
South, we was coming.
Wow.
Yeah.
That portrait is Sam Burton for those who don't know, and for our new YouTube watchers, that's Mr. Popcorn World. So you will enjoy seeing him come in when he does.
To speak to what you well, my grandfather. So here's the catch to me. My biological grandfather, I never got a chance to meet on my mother's side, right? Oh, wow. My father is not my biological father. So my father is the man that my mother married. I was first, second grade.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So but he's all I know as dad. I mean, to the point that if I don't tell people he's not my biological father, they will swear. Like people will tell me I'm lying if I say that's not really my biological father. They'll call me a liar, But My biological father, I can very well go meet today if I wanted to. He's running around Markham or Illinois somewhere, but I just have never had a desire to meet him ever,
Wow.
to the slightest. My
Wow.
wife asked me this on a regular basis. You don't want to know how he looks? Yeah, I'm like, for what? Why? It's one of those things that I've always, even the elders, because I'm that person that enjoyed speaking to the elders.
Yeah, same here.
So, my grandparents became those people. Those are the people that my grandmother died when I was probably and I was really close to her, but she died when I was probably about 6, 7 years old. But to this day, I don't remember a lot of things from my youth, but I remember my grandmother, right?
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of senior men, like my grandfather on my father's my father's side. He was that old school. He smoked a pipe. He didn't chew tobacco, but he smoked a pipe. And to this day, when I burn my fireplace, I go to Walgreens and get that either cherry or that apple tobacco, wet it and put it in the fireplace, so you can get that smell. Yeah,
I like it. It's interesting that you said that, LeBaron. I did not know that, and I appreciate you sharing that. And I don't want to tell anybody else's story, but I'll just say 3 out of the 5 men here share a similar story. How about that? And then if he wants to share it, he can share it. There you go. Go ahead. Is it 3? Yeah, I'm right. 3 out of 5. And I highlight that because if you look at that from a percentage perspective, that's 60% of the men here, which is probably not far off from the reality of a national average.
Well,
maybe low.
I'm not those, I'm in a category all by myself because I had an amazing father.
Mm-hmm.
However, he didn't raise me. I watched from afar on Facebook and, seeing other people's pictures and stuff, the kind of things that he did with his family. So when I got married, when Lloyd asked me to marry him, I refused to go down the aisle at our wedding with just my biological father. I went down the aisle at our wedding with my mom's husband and my biological father, because he was there. That my mom's husband was teaching me how to make pancakes, and I saw him cooking ribs and cooking turkeys and stuff like that. I working on cars and stuff like that. He, to me, was like a dad. Whereas my father was, he had accolades for days in his arena of the military. But in regard to the parenting part, he did a little there, a little here, a little there. But I know that that's really peculiar, but I refuse to go down the aisle with just my biological father, because I was like, dude, you're not going to come to the end of my life, not the end of my life, but you're not going to show up for my wedding. And now you want to go strutting down the aisle like a peacock, like you've been doing this all along, and that you've been,
But what's interesting to me about your dad? I don't know that guy. That absent guy that you talk about, that wasn't there and was kind of part-time, this, that, and the other. I don't know him. I know the guy that I asked for your hand and he said yes. I know the guy that came when my first daughter was born. He bought her this beautiful rocking chair that we still own to this day, and spent, several days in our home. And I still have the picture of him holding his granddaughter and loving on her. And then when she got older, he took a special trip down here just to take her swimming, fishing, and to the zoo. That's the guy I know. I don't know this absentee. You know what I mean? It's weird.
You know the guy that when I became I'm an adult. The one that I cry out for even at this age is the man that could have protected me from so many things as a child.
Right. The
man that could have, taught me as a young woman the type of things I've learned here on this show. I'm this years old, 52, listening to you guys talk about, how you teach your daughters to do things, or
bad example, Mama Noise. Bad examples.
I mean, I'm seriously, the stuff that Jay does with his daughter and traveling with her and stuff like that, man, I would have loved to just went one weekend, one day to spend time with him without, having to share him. I just wanted him one time to myself. That's the when I say Jay and him is because Jay takes him and Jasmine, just him and Jasmine, and they go traveling. And they're hanging together. They're bonding. They're having conversations that I could have only dreamed to have had. So, yes, I appreciate all of the stuff he made up for once I got married and started having children and started trying to pour into the grandchildren and stuff. But what I would have wanted personally, would have wanted to just have him to myself, just me. I wanted to be selfish and have him to myself, just me, just so I could get to know him in a way that nobody else could. Just the Kenyatta way. It's those little special things, those little special nicknames and stuff, maybe because of something I've done. Or maybe a daughter and a daddy-daughter dance. I would have loved. There are so many things that you do, Lloyd, for our children that I inside am so overjoyed. And then on the other side of my heart, I'm saying, man, I wish my father and I could have went to a daddy-daughter dance so that I would have been elevated, that validation of I'm the princess, I'm so super special. He's not dancing with nobody else but me. I would have loved to have had that. So I mean, I know you say you don't see it, but from the little girl in me that will always be there, that's the part that I miss. Is
no, I get it.
That part right there.
And again, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have this discussion, because I really thought this was an important conversation to have. And one of the things that we try to be very much on this show is open and transparent. We really have nothing to hide. And I think our lives, like Pastor Cuz reminds us all the time, is supposed to be a testimony and a light to everybody else. So I said, well, let's just walk this out in real time. But I think there are very much the reason why I brought out the dichotomy of difference in this conversation is, and I appreciate even what LeBaron said, is that there are blurred lines when it comes to Black fathers. There are just these really weird lines that we in the Black community have created. And the vacuum of not having good ones is in direct conflict of the ones that are good and the ones that are trying. And then there's these weird ones in the middle that kind of do sometime, but then they don't do some other time, or they half in and half out, or it's just a weird. it's a weird thing. But I'll let Cuz and Ron hadn't had a chance to say anything either. So y'all jump in and please.
Go, Ron.
You don't want me to go. You know, I don't care about him.
Care about who?
My dad. You give a damn about him. Got 2 wooden nickels.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Ron. Is there any black father that ever came in later?
No.
Like a stepfather or nothing? So you've never, ever had a black father in your life?
I've had black men in my life.
You've had black men, but not a father.
Not a black father.
So, okay, so.
Well, I take it back. The closest to a black father I could say would probably be my uncle. He would be the closest to a black father for me. But there's nobody I would call dad. There's nobody I would call father.
Is that uncle on your mother's side or your dad's?
Uncle on my mother's side.
So, Ron, that makes, and I'm obviously not learning new information there, but at the same time, but at the same time, it does make it a fascinating in relation to this conversation, because we all know you to be a phenomenal father, like just phenomenal, like literally just spent a whole weekend sitting in stands watching a son wrestle an hour away from his house. I mean, that kind of stuff. Like, you're just a really, really phenomenal dad. Where did that come from? Did that come from what he didn't do, or just how did you become a good father? I guess is what I'm trying to find out.
What drove me was the fact of not having one.
Okay.
But I had a family. I had a family that showed me what a family was. Didn't matter if he was in the household or not, but my family raised me. So I learned from my uncles. I learned from my grandmother. I learned from my cousins. I learned from that village that takes to raise a child. That's where I learned it from.
Wow.
And because I had that village, regardless of how bad that village was, and we had some jacked up stuff in that village.
Right.
We still got jacked up stuff in that village.
Right.
But I learned how to raise a family. And that's where I got it from.
That's so wild to me. Wow.
And that's why, like you said, I always Pastor Deacon, Cuz NOIZ, I always joke with him, and we kind of go around and around. So for me, a father in the household doesn't mean the same as what other people see a father in the household. To me, it's the right man in your life, because you can be a asshole kids, or you can be a great father and raise great kids, or you can be a great man raising great kids. So my view is different than some others, but I will always believe it takes a family to raise a child.
Yeah.
And I want to speak to what Ron just said, because the thing is I see where Ron is coming from, but the very fact that you're being a good father kind of, to an extent, discredits that, because you're righting a wrong. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're giving your children what you didn't have. Now, I do know that you need, like you said, it takes a village, right? But in hindsight, right, I think you can acknowledge the fact that your son has more to go on than what you did, even with that same village.
He definitely has a little bit more to go on, but that same village is still teaching him the same thing that they taught me.
Right.
The goals, the morals, all that of how to be a decent human being was the same whether my father was in the household or my father wasn't in the household.
Right. But what
like you said, I am righting a wrong, but at the same time, I still found the family aspect of it more impactful, because you get to see more, you get to learn more, you get more history, you get more knowledge. You know, I would rather have a decent man in my life than a shitty father. Yeah,
I agree. I agree with that.
Any day of the week.
I agree with that.
Cuz jump in there, because I'm curious what you think.
I'm gonna go on mute and off camera, because you know it's
I'm about to brace.
You know, this is some hard shit to talk about.
Yes, it is.
We got a first shit of the day.
Well, you knew it was coming.
I say that.
Hey, and you know he already on edge, but we ain't gonna go there.
I see. See.
Oh no, you already leaned up. We already knew where it was going. Go ahead.
We could have had a conversation without you trying to bring up.
Hang on, cuz. Hang on, cuz. Let me get strapped in.
Oh my.
I'm strapped in.
Listen, it's a hard conversation for me because I had my father in my life, my entire life. He wasn't the best husband, but he was a damn good father. So, though I had my father in my life, I had a lot of cousins that I was very close to, that I was raised with, that didn't have their fathers in their life. I also know that my brother-in-law, who's here with us now, that he's never met his father. His father's now passed on. So I don't believe it's possible. And I say this hesitantly because I could be wrong as 4 left shoes, but I don't believe it's possible to not have a hole in your heart that you may have hardened, that you may have, I don't know, filled with something else. But to not know who you really are or who you really come from, I don't think it's possible to not have a hole from that. Now maybe that emotional tie to that is more difficult for women, but men suffer too. We just suffer in a different way, and we disguise the pain. We cover up the pain. Listen, I'm gonna live my life. Damn that nigga is what we generally will say. But is that really real? I couldn't imagine, though I saw things I shouldn't have seen and experienced things I shouldn't have experienced with my dad and my mom, I couldn't imagine not having my dad in my life. Because at 52, I now know why I do some of the stupid shit and say some of the stupid things that I say. I'm a product of that Negro.
Ah, now we got it.
And to not know really why you are the way that you are and who you I know we are formed by the village, you know, and we get bits and pieces from different people. I get that. I understand that. But we're also a product. Even if he wasn't in your life, you are a product of that person.
You always a product of that person, but you're also a product of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a hole. It's always been a hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like with any hole, some point you got to fill that hole and move on.
Okay.
You know, Ron, I'm glad you said it because that's where I was headed. I don't know if it's a matter of you hide from it as much as it is you just have to move on. Like you don't have a choice. He ain't here. He hadn't done it. He's not doing it. I got to move on. I got to figure out how to become what I'm supposed to become with the whole.
Yeah, I 100% agree that I'm a product of him. But he donated sperm, but he never made me. What made me was my surroundings and my family. He donated. He put the genes in.
And don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for the donation.
Yeah, I'm grateful for the donation. But he's not what made me.
Truly grateful for the donation. I'm not gonna hold you. That was not
I can see what Cuz is saying.
Yeah.
because even the negative aspects of our fathers mold what we do. Like, I'm somewhere in between both ends of the spectrum. My parents divorced when I was 8 years old, and my father's always lived in the same city. But I remember the awkward moments of being dropped off in front of his house, which was also the resident of his new girlfriend and her children, and having to go knock on the door, and mama said, I need some money, to get some things that, I need, or whatever the case may be. And the sarcastic remarks from his girlfriend, and the nasty remarks from her kids, and the anger in his eye, as if to say, how dare you come step on my doorstep, knock on my door. And so that took place for many, 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 many years. And so there was always animosity, you taking care of her kids. Why are we sitting in this apartment in Village West struggling when y'all living in a house on 21st in St. Louis? So there was always animosity there, but I thank God for that experience, because I swore, or as Dr. Clark said, I put my right hand to God that I would not be the husband that he was, that I would not be the father that he was. Mm-hmm. So one of my biggest fears when I went through my divorce is, regardless, my kids are not going to have the relationship with me during that time that I had with my father during that time. So it shapes us.
Yeah.
Whether positive or negative, it does shape us and mold us in some way.
So when we say this, are we talking, because my situation is totally different. Like, I literally never think about my biological father unless someone else brings him up. Like, he literally does not cross my mind until a subject matter comes up. I have no clue of what habits or whatever he may have passed genetically other than my height. I know he was tall. That's all I know.
But have you ever said to yourself, well, I'll be damned if I'm not going to be present in my kid's life? Like, this useless piece of whatever wasn't present in mine. Have you ever had those things?
You ever spend time around his family?
Huh?
You ever spend time around his family?
No, I've never had the desire. I honestly, I could have. I had cousins and things say, hey, your father live over there and yada, yada. But I was 100% content with what I had. I was 100% content. Now, maybe if my mother had not gotten married and I, didn't have my father that stepped in at a young age, maybe my perception would be different. But I lived.
How young were you then? How young were you when your stepfather stepped in?
How old are we in like the first, second grade?
6,
5, 6, 7,
7, 8. I was about 7, 8.
About 7, 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would argue this. I would argue this. I think, because I don't know if it's always a conscious decision, like you're saying, Al. Sometimes I think it's just an innate thing that we know. Once we come into the knowledge and understanding of our circumstances, then we just innately say, because for me, mine was more innate. I'm just not going to be like him. Like, even before I met him, I had made up my mind, I ain't going to be like him. Like, my grandfather was a phenomenal father to me. Like, he was, until he handed me off to my stepfather. My stepfather was okay. He wasn't the greatest, wasn't the worst. He was okay. But he tried. At least he was tried. He was present. He did the very best he could with the tools that he had. And I don't fault him in any way. So those two examples made me say I can be better. And so you're saying, so I can understand what you're saying, not saying I never think about him like that. I didn't think about I'm gonna be a better father than he ever was. I just had decent examples like Ron is saying, and I said, okay, I got at least enough to work with blueprint wise to go forward. But the thought engineer's here. So you know what's about to happen now. Talk to us, brother.
Yeah, my father experience was my father was a pastor, and in our small area, he was a prominent, guy, so to speak. So I saw him all the time. I never forget when I found out he was my father. I was 11 and my mom broke the news to me. I was actually relieved because my older two sisters, they daddy, oh man, he got talked about so bad, and he was, he was, at least mine would show up from time to time. But but yeah, I mean, publicly he couldn't acknowledge us because it was me and my sister that's just older than me. He couldn't acknowledge us publicly. You're in church, you'd be like, oh, well, the pastor's family out, the family stand up. We couldn't stand up. You know what I'm saying? We had to sit there.
Wow.
We knew what was up. People knew, but you just not having that acknowledgement. And I can remember it was, just a handful of times that he really acknowledged me publicly. But yeah, once I got a chance to spend time around my father's family, my father's side of the family. And that was eye-opening for me because my mom used to have to keep ice cream in the refrigerator for me. Loved ice cream. Used to have to keep it stocked. And I just thought I loved ice cream until I got a chance to, I went over his house, I was at his house, and I ended up going in the freezer and it was full of ice cream. I said, uh-oh. I said, it was at that moment I told her, I said, man, I need to know who you are. I figured, I said, I got some stuff from you that I'm not really aware that I got from you. And I need to be aware of what is this that I have so that I can deal with it. I knew what I didn't want to be. And a lot of times those desires are born out of pain, the pain of not having them there, the pain of not, of seeing him operate as if you're not who you are to him in the whole nine. And it's crazy. God told me, I'm saying, I had to create that desire because I was trying to cut some things off. And sorry, I had to do it that way, but that desire had to be great enough for you to, make a change. But yeah, I had a conversation with him. I was like, man, I need to know who you are. We sat and talked. My dad couldn't really talk to me. Because one thing about it, yeah, you the big man in church, you this, that, and the other, but it's a whole different thing when you have to face your failure.
Stop right there.
Real quick. Had he remarried? Did he have a second family?
Yeah. My dad raised two guys that were his wife's children. And, those were the ones who really, kind of his sons. I'm his only blood son. I'm the only blood son. So the funeral was kind of weird.
I would imagine.
So yeah, they had t-shirts, with his last name, they said his last name was Spencer. So the t-shirt said Spencer Boys and all this kind of stuff. And I come around and you can tell the vibe is a little bit different. It's like, I don't need a t-shirt. Now I got him, you know what I'm saying? So but yeah, to know that he put all his time and energy in them. When it came to me, he couldn't do it without embarrassing himself. My dad didn't deal with embarrassment. Anytime he was in an embarrassing situation, he dealt with it, but he wouldn't say anything.
So that's why I wanted to pause, because one of the biggest things that I think we have all experienced, and it seems common in every story I've heard here today, is that there was this thing with Black fathers that the mistake, whatever that mistake was was never truly to be reconciled. Like that was the divide between me and my dad. He would not reconcile what happened. Like I have an older sister, I have a younger sister. He ain't reconciled none of that. None of that. And like Kieta was saying, whatever the reason was, I'm on one side of the United States and you on the other. We didn't reconcile that. You know, he didn't sit down with me and say, son, I'm so sorry I did this thing. I created this. Let's try to build from here and let's keep trying to build until I've tried to mend the broken places, or as Cuz said, fill the hole. Never did that. And I don't know what that is. And so I'll ask you guys, do you think the guilt was so great, or what do you think causes that in black men, that they do the damage and they cause all this psychological and emotional and mental damage, but there's no desire to go back and try to fix it?
I don't know that there's not a desire. I don't think they have tools to do it. I don't think that was given to them. I don't think that generation, my dad was 77 when he passed. And, you know, old country guy, that generation they couldn't humble themselves to a point to where I come to you and say, you know, I'm sorry, I messed up, I made mistakes.
But Derek, is that a tool you need just to come back and say those words?
I think we get more than they got as far as having to deal with things of that nature. I don't think it was just something that they were accustomed to. It wasn't part of, you know, how they grew up.
No, I don't disagree with that. I totally agree with what you're saying in that regard. I guess what I'm saying is, my eternal question will probably forever be, why would you not want to? Like it, you know, you did this thing, you know, this ain't no secret, you know. So why would you not want? Because I'm like you, I watched him raise other folks' kids. And I mean, he came down to my daughter's graduation. He had 2 stepdaughters, 3 grandkids, a partridge in a pear tree. And I mean, they all came marching down, and he paid for all their dinner. And he just, oh, this is my family. And I'm like, bruh, we just not gonna deal with all of this. We just gonna act like this don't exist.
That's how they dealt with it. Unless you brought it to them and actually had a conversation, they would just glance over it, like, you know, because it's like a no harm, no foul. If you don't bring it up and you just content with just moving on, if you don't say nothing, they're not gonna say nothing. That's not how they
did. And I did say something, and I was like, hey man, before we move on, we gotta deal with this. Oh, well, you know, your mama had it wrong. It wasn't quite what she said. Tell me what it was. Well, you know, things happen, and you know, and it was all the hemming and the hawing and you know.
See, it's hard for me to, you know, I know it says a tool, and we get what we get from our fathers. There's no way, as a man, I wouldn't want to be in my kid's life.
That's me, man.
There's no way. So again, you know, we say we learn a lot from our fathers. Well, damn it, I ain't learned it from him because he's never been around. He has a whole other family with kids that he's with. He's still alive. I tell everybody he's dead. So it's a pride thing with him. He didn't want to do it because he didn't want to do it.
What does he get from those other kids that he can't get from you?
Nothing. He gets
a clean slate.
Exactly.
A guilt-free.
My dad stayed stuck up in the church all the time because that's where he received his accolades. That's where everybody treated him like he was a big man. The whole time, his house was a complete mess.
Right.
It was in shambles. It was in disarray and everything. So he stayed at the church where he didn't have to deal with all that, and he still got headed and stroked as, hey, you the big man, you the one that strike fear in the hearts of everybody and all this kind of stuff. But at home, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they ran towards that comfort. Wherever I was going to get, it takes.
But I
It
look
takes
at that as a
a
weakness.
guy to walk to your mistake and say, I'm a deal with this.
Yeah, and I look at that as a weakness in a man. You
Yeah.
weak if you can't deal with your problems and fix your problems. You would rather go to your grave.
Yeah.
Than face your problem.
Yeah.
See, my situation was so vastly different. Because from what I know, they said my father was constantly asking about me every time he saw them or whatever. I just didn't. My mother removed me from a certain environment, right? Of my cousins, of 9 male cousins, I am one of 2 still living, one of 3 still living. Okay, and I am the oldest of all said cousins, right? All of them have they've all been murdered. All of them have been murdered. They've all yeah, okay. So my mother chose to remove me from that environment. As far as I know, my biological father was a product of that environment, right? So, from what, and notice what I'm saying, from what I know, from what I've heard in the grapevine, he was a bit of an alcoholic. Okay. So it's one of those things that I've honestly never questioned it. To this day, I don't question it. Because maybe because I had a father so early on in life.
Yeah.
I remember being a latchkey child, okay, because my mother worked. She had a pretty good job. She had to leave me. I mean, things that my mother did are illegal today. She had to leave me at the house in kindergarten. In kindergarten, I was frying my own egg, okay, putting toast in the toaster. I had a key around my neck. I would lock the door and walk to the bus stop. Okay. So, and the thing is that was the life that I had at that point until the point that this man came in, and there's something else that deeper that latched me onto my father that I don't know that I spoke of this before. But once those things happened, I was good. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I had a father. No one can tell me anything different, right? So that's why I said, contrary to what Cuz says about there literally has not been anything.
I was gonna say you didn't have time to even be able to acknowledge your hole because it came. The fill up came so fast, and it stayed that way. It sounds like.
Right. I've spent my life trying to live to be the man that I was raised to be.
That's awesome.
And that's been my focus. So I've never thought about what I've missed, what I didn't miss. If anything, if I think, I'm like, man, I dodged a bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I want to throw this in as well because Sean brings up another dynamic that we don't talk enough about. And some of you may be able to relate to this. He says, what about the absent father that was in the home? He came from a 2-parent home, but the father was an alcoholic and was really never there to show him much as it comes to being a man. And that's why I titled the show Blurred Lines with Black Fathers, because that is kind of our dynamic. Everything that we're talking about here is kind of our dynamic in the black home right now. It's like the black father that's not alcoholic, that's not abusive, that's not as, I guess, I don't know, damaged in some way or not adulterous in some way. Man, it's not a lot of those guys. You know what I mean? They're out there, but it's not as many as you would hope that have done well by their families or whatever the case may be.
Man, the older I get, when I start looking at dynamics between relationships and all this kind of stuff, man, it's a whole lot of stuff there, man. A whole lot of stuff we weren't privy to as growing up as kids. But as we get older, we look at things and like, man, there had to be some tough situations, man.
No question. No question.
Had to be some tough situations. And I mean, I look at my father and I look at how he handled things, and I can kind of have some sympathy for him to a certain degree, because hey man, you got a whole other wife at home, and from what I could tell, she was a piece of work. You know, she wouldn't hesitate to give you the business if she needed to. So I don't know if there were times where he wanted to, but he was like, man, I don't want to.
I'll create this weird dynamic over here.
I don't.
Yeah.
Man, I don't want to catch the backlash from her. You know what I'm saying? Or what's gonna happen if I do this? So
a lot of people don't realize how much that does happen. Just growing up as a pastor's son, that dynamic happens more than not.
Yeah.
Well, we had a conversation on yesterday as well, and later on yesterday, and I know that this is, I said it to the guys yesterday, but today, you know, when I heard what Derek said and when I heard what Al was saying, okay, my heart was breaking at seeing little Al standing at the door, knocking on the door, you know, at the house trying to, you know, I remember being in those type of situations, but not being able to, you know, having a father that was so scared of rocking the boat. And I'm going, how are you scared of rocking the boat? This boat was already established before the boat you in with your new wife. You know, this boat was here many years previously. But it put me in a position and my sister in a position where we felt like, where Derek was saying, you know, you right there and you're going like, okay, I'm family. You done started with another family. Like, in other words, okay. I don't have to look at him and have to be reminded of what I did wrong. They look at me as the best thing since sliced bread, where you looking at me like, what did I do wrong? Or what I could have done better. And I'm saying that's the same thing that happened to us. Is my mom and dad divorced when I was, you know, very young, that I don't even remember it. So it was very young. And when he remarried, his second wife had children, had boys already. So what my dad is just adopted them. I'm just going to adopt them. And then, you know, it's almost like, and then we're going to start from here. And then there I am looking on Facebook back when it first started. These Negroes is at the Grand Canyon. I want to go to the Grand Canyon. You know, I mean, we over on vacation over here, and I want to go on vacation. I mean, it was like, I mean, and I'm not, you know, it wasn't like I was trying to, you know, be I almost said a home wrecker. It wasn't like I was trying to be a home wrecker, but it almost made me feel like the side chick. I'm calling, and then, you know, I'm calling on the phone saying, you know, hey, Dad. Oh, okay. All right. Well, look, I'll call you back. I'm like, why is everything 007? I Spy. I'll call you back in a few minutes type stuff because you don't want to rock the boat at your house, bruh. You don't want to rock the boat at your nice house? I mean, I remember coming home when I was probably about 8 years old. I was about 8. I came back to my mama's house having visited my mom's townhome. I left her townhome and went to my father's house. This big house that had, you know, where you can't go in the living room because that's the white room where everything is white. So don't go in that room. And they had the last name, my last name, the initials on the toilet seat, monogrammed on the toilet. I'm sitting there going, Mama, why can't we have? That's my father, right? So that's my father. Why can't I have this big, ginormous house? Why are we peeking out the blinds to see if they trying to come repossess stuff and double checking to make sure, click the light switch to make sure the power's on? Why are we struggling like that? When I go over to his house, it don't look nothing like that. They don't look like, if it is struggle, I never seen it. But the struggle that I really, if nothing else, that I can remember, that I feel like that I should never have felt like I was I felt like I'm supposed to be a secret or something. Even though I exist, it just felt like it was, people knew I exist, but it was like, I don't know. It was so, that's why I could relate to what Derek was saying. It's like, they know I exist, but I'm around my brothers. I go with them to the basketball court. They friends like, who are you? Who's this girl you with? He's like, that's my sister. Man, quit playing. I've been knowing you your whole life. You ain't got no sister. I got to show ID. I am the sister. All this half sister, step sister.
Yeah.
Where half and step stuff come from? Where does that come from?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. Somebody need to research.
Where would those distinctions? Why would those distinctions have to be made?
If you just keep
now, I'm something. Now this doesn't apply to all guys, but it could be quite controversial. I saw a post of some one day. This young guy, he said, I realized. He said, once I had a child with a baby mama, he said, I realized why my daddy stayed away.
Once he had a child with a baby mama, he realized why his daddy stayed away.
So isn't the issue, he said, baby mama?
And that's what I'm saying. We put a lot on the guy. Now that's what I'm saying, dealing with the quality of a guy, because a lot of times it's a serious bullet you got to bite to, But I have seen some women give some guys pure hell.
Oh, no question.
When it came to them trying to be there, I got one of my closest friends, best friends, grew up with. He has a son. He has a son outside of his marriage. Now, he wasn't married when he had the son, but he's married and he has 2 sons by his wife. And breaks his heart, man. He can't get to his son. He'll take it out to court, but he's tried to go to court. He said, man, the judge act like she wasn't even trying to hear me. He said, but he got his 2 sons growing up, and I'm pretty sure his other son is going to have this same complaint. Look at your sons that was in the house with you and everything, and he won't know probably all that he went through to try to be there for him. And the point is like, hey, man, I can't. There's only so much I can do.
Yeah, and we see it all the time.
Dynamic that you have to look at as well. Not to say that's the case in all of them, but it does happen. And I know that he grew up with issues with his father, so he grew up like us. His desire is to, always there for his sons, to be there for him. But he got this one son, and it kills him, man, that he can't be there for him the way he wants to be.
I want to get Cuz back in. I don't know. I feel like this is a perfect time because I'm 1,000% sure he got something to say.
What? I mean,
don't act like you ain't got nothing to say. I know where this is going.
No. My story is a little different. My daddy was a hoe. And the message you send to kids when you do that their mom is not good enough, that you're actually destroying their mama. That's why I am who I am, because I know the value of building versus tearing down. My dad tore down my mom by being that hoe. But he was always in our lives. I don't mean undercover or behind the scenes. He was very upfront about it. The day my mom emptied out the house, and I mean she took every damn thing. He came home that night like he normally would around 10 o'clock after he had finished hoeing. And the house was empty. My mother and I had left. My brother was off at college. About a week later, we met back in the house because they wanted to have a family meeting. My mother and father, my brother and I. And my dad, we had to sit on crates because she had taken all the damn furniture. And my dad said to us at that time, he said, no matter what, guys, I will always be your father. And I will always be in your life. No matter what, you can always come to me. I'm daddy. And that Negro held that true until the day he died. He came to us later on as adults, my brother and I, and he had another meeting with us. And he said, now listen, y'all know I'm fond of that hoe that he was cheating with. I'm not going to use a name because she was a hoe. I'm fond of that hoe, and I'm fond of her kids. But we are family. No matter what. Now, this was years later. My brother and I were grown and married. We are family. After my mother passed, that hoe decided that it was time to marry my dad because my dad had promised my mother that he would never get married again. Now, he was a hoe. Listen to this now. So when my mother passed, she came to my brother and I, the hoe, and asked us if it was okay if they get married. Now, they had been together for years. She says, I never wanted to marry him because I knew how he felt about his family. I knew that Luther still had life insurance for you all's mother. I knew that he still had burial insurance for you all's mother. I knew that you all were his family. Now, this was the hoe and her kids that, listen, y'all, he spent at least 30, 40 years with before they got married. So what I'm telling you is, I don't have the experience of you other guys. My dad was in our lives, and he was real about it. He loved my brother and I. But my problem with my dad that I had to go through, and my brother had to go through it too, we talk about it, is the destruction of our mother, because our mother was extremely ambitious and wanted so much out of life. She was a very successful, educated woman. But you can't do what he was doing and not affect that woman. Hence, affect those kids.
Well, and that goes back to what we heard Derek say. And Derek, you got to go? Oh.
I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
How old was your dad when all this was going on?
How old was my dad when what was going on? The cheating?
Yeah, when he started cheating and the whole night. How old?
Shit, that was from day one. My mother said when they got married, she knew something was off.
No, I'm saying what age? What age?
Oh, they got married at a young age. They were married.
They were stupid. They was young and dumb.
They were young in college. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were married for almost 30 years. Yeah.
So he was married to your mom for 30 years and then left your mom, or he stayed married to your mom the entire time?
He didn't want her to leave.
No, I'm saying, okay, but I'm saying, she left, but they stayed married the entire time?
No, they divorced.
They eventually divorced. Okay.
Divorced, but he still was adamant about
keeping on life insurance.
His family. It was weird. It was weird. And we talk about it, my brother and I, my sister-in-law, who's been in my life for a long time. We talk about it now, how he, in a weird way, he still loved my mother. And she could go to him and ask him for anything, and he would do it. She could call him and say, Jay needs this. He would do it. But he still destroyed our family because, I'm going to say it, y'all can pick fun if you want to. I don't give a damn. But our family was like Leave It to Beaver. It was just that type of a family structure. We were a family as we thought as kids, because she hid everything. So the amount of pain she was going through with living that lie, living that double life, if you will, destroyed her. And I resented him for years because of it. Now, did he ever reconcile with us? Absolutely, he did. He apologized.
But I would argue this, based on what you just said, that choice by that father to not make things right with the mother in some way, form, or fashion always destroys.
Correct.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it always is going to leave there's collateral damage to those things. Like, because Al, you said your mom divorced, right? So there's damage there. Kietta's mom I think she divorced. Damage. My mom, damage. I mean, it's we all, I'm sure, Ron's dad left her mom scrambling to say, okay, I need an uncle, I need an auntie, I need somebody to help me over here. I mean, there's always damage. There's always, I don't know if we understand that part of the dynamic always in the Black community, that what happens is that in our 20s, in our 30s, in our 40s, in our 50s, we're now left with, well, shit, now we got to reconcile all of this and figure out how to take all of that, place it to the side, and become good parents. Oh, Al,
is that the driving force for being good parents? So it's not like you place it to the side. It's
you learn from it.
Most of us operate from that pain body.
Yeah.
Most of us operate from that pain body in our lives. We are the men we are because we refuse to be who he was. We operate as the men we are because we refuse to hurt our wives the way our moms were hurt. We operate out of pain. Now, many of us have a very hard time admitting that.
Yeah, I don't call it pain. I call it learning from a mistake. It didn't hurt me at all. I learned from it. I took that opportunity and built from that. I don't consider it pain.
But Ron, it was a negative that you learned from.
I learned from every negative. Don't mean every negative is a pain. A failure is a negative, but doesn't mean that it's pain.
But the failure of the pain of a a parent, an absent parent, we can chalk it up as a learning experience, but we are human beings.
But I think that pain
Have
is
feelings
different.
and emotions.
I think that pain is different if you've seen him and he's been there, and you had that opportunity to have that relationship, and then you had a loss. I think the pain is different.
Okay.
When there's never there,
I see what you're saying. If you've never, ever
Had
yeah, then it's hard to call that pain.
it's hard to call it pain.
Yeah, you missed that. Yeah, you never miss what you never had.
Ron, just right quick. As you grew up, did you have any friends that had daddy at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years old?
All my friends.
And you never wondered why you were not afforded that, not given that opportunity to have that dad in your life? You never wondered as a kid? Wow.
To this day, my wife is trying to do everything she can, aka Mama NOIZ, to try to and get me and him back together. She tries everything that she can. He lives in the city. He's still alive. He's in my city.
So why won't you do it?
Know what I told her? Hell no.
So why not?
I don't want to. I'm not going to waste my time to go find you for something that you did. I didn't do it. I didn't have me.
Yeah, I'm listening, and just the visceral reaction to meeting him. I'm like, it seems like there's a pain there.
But I don't want to see him. There's nothing he's going to do for me, show me or tell me. To me, he's never been there. So why come now?
Has he? So to your knowledge, he's never reached out, never phone call, never sent a gift, child support, nothing, never did anything.
Nothing.
Can I ask a personal question?
Wow.
And one of the things we pride ourselves on this show is just being just upfront and honest. That's why I think it's such a good damn show. What was his relationship with your mom? Was that just a quickie?
I have no idea. Never asked. Never even cared.
So you don't know if they were in a relationship or not.
Wow. Do you have any siblings, Ron?
Yeah.
Older?
And I have a sister. Her dad was
and
in her
she's older?
No, she's younger. I'm the oldest.
Younger, okay. So you're the oldest.
Yep. I'm the oldest of his kids. I am the first son.
You the son of the youth. I would venture to say, Ron, I'm listening to the hardness behind how you talk about him. I guarantee you got that.
I'm gonna explain the hardness to you.
You got that from him.
I'm gonna explain the hardness to you is people always want me to go and figure out how to get to him, and it makes me mad because they want me to do it. That's where my hardness come in at.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing.
Yeah, I think that anger and that hardness comes from a place of pain and maybe rejection.
People wanted me to go and do something. No, don't tell me to go do that. Don't get mad at me because I won't go do that.
Yeah.
That's where my anger comes from. It's the people who wants to force me to go do something that it's not my responsibility.
Well, damn it, go do it.
and I'm not necessarily talking about the anger of people pushing you. I'm talking about how you put your feet in the ground. Like, nope. I guarantee you, he got the same attitude you got.
Oh well, you ain't met my mother.
Hey, I used to.
Lloyd, you met my mother.
Right.
Like that too. Until I got around my dad and people, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
And see the thing, I've never been around these people.
But I'm gonna say this though, Derek. I actually agree with Ron. It is not his responsibility to go make this right, and that's really to me that's one of the most frustrating. So I understand what Donald is trying to say because Donald's saying he learned cannot get caught up in the missteps that may occur in our parents' relationship, especially when it's not physical. When we grow older and understand how those things may damage our parents, we can't pass judgment on their messiness. But I don't think this is a judgment on their messiness. I think this is a referendum on their decisions. And so how I came to be in this world, if that was a mess, I ain't gonna do with that. But I'm here. So now that I'm here, you're supposed to want to do right by whatever Whatever you created, you now have it, and you're supposed to want to do right. And if you don't, that's fine, but it's not. I agree with Ron. Because you and I take the same stand. I tried it, because here's the other side of it, Ron. I did try to reconcile it. I went above and beyond to try to fix it.
That being said, though, you can't say y'all took the same stance.
Well, I eventually took the stand. Yeah, because I did try to say, okay, I'm gonna meet him halfway. I'm gonna try to work it out. And then when he was like, well, I can't make this, I can't do this, I can't do that, well, and then he just stopped calling. I'm like, well, man, what am I doing? Why am I busting my ass to try to make something work that you don't want to make work? I didn't create you, and I shouldn't have to beg you to love me.
And I'm the type of person, if I do something wrong, I will apologize to a person. If I pissed you off, I did something wrong, I will go out my way. I will be the bigger man. I will apologize.
I got that from my mama, though. I didn't get that from my daddy.
Right. But it's something.
My daddy's MO was avoidance.
Right.
How he operated. So I got the fact that I would sit down, admit what I did. My mom would sit me down and talk to me like that. I got that from her. I didn't get that from him. I went to my dad. It wasn't about him. It was about me. I'm like, here I am. I'm coming into adulthood, and I don't want to make the same mistakes, but I'm blind. I'm blind to what's guiding me and leading me. So I need to know who you are, so I can get more of an idea of what's in me that may not be evident right up front. So when I start making decisions, I know where it's coming from, and I can maneuver different. He would have never come to me. Never. My dad for a small city, he had a thriving church. He had issues, infidelities. His wife died. It came down to two women who he's going to be with. He picked the one who was more docile, which says the one who was a firecracker, she went and she blew up his life. He lost the majority of his church. And through all of the stuff that she did, all that she told, the pillow talk that she told, when it told everybody everything he said, he never said anything. He never stood for the church and say, you know what? I made a mistake. I'm sorry. He never went to the people who they found out stuff he had said in confidence. He never went to them and said, I'm sorry. It was silence. That's how he dealt with it. It was silence until people just, hey, you want something to eat? You know how you go get past until you get to that. That's how he dealt with stuff. He wouldn't have never come to me, but I didn't go to him for him. I went to him for me.
And see, there's nothing I want to go to him for. I guess that's because, again, I never had it in the beginning. So there's nothing I want to go to him for. There's nothing I want to see him to show me or tell me. There's nothing I want to learn from him. I took my flaws and I work my flaws, regardless of who I got my flaw from. Whether I got my flaw from my mama, I got my flaw from my daddy. It is what it is. I got to deal with it. I got to grow with it. I got to learn from it. I got to deal with it. And that's how I look at it.
Ron, this is not counseling 101 for Ron. Now, and I mean that, brother, because I have a lot of respect for you, being the father that you are without having been fathered. God damn it, that's amazing. And it really is. I honor you for that, seriously. But my question to you would be, you're so adamant that I want nothing from him. I don't need nothing from him. Basically, he means nothing to me.
Test who?
How can you feel that way without there being a hole in your heart, a pain?
I never said there was no hole. I just said again, with him never being there, I didn't really miss anything from him. The stuff I got to be a man came from my other people, my family. So they feel that void because he wasn't there. So I'd rather go to them and learn from them than go to him about anything.
So as we grow up and become the adults that we are and the men that we are, and we try our best to operate from a place of wholeness. None of us are perfect, but we try our damnness to operate from a place of wholeness in order to raise our families and love our wives and be the men that we're trying to be. Once we get there, from my Christian standpoint, and I know, Ron, don't you say shit. From my Christian standpoint, and I know you believe from a moral standpoint.
Mhm.
Do we have an obligation to go to people, whether they are the parent and we're the child or not? Do we have an obligation to go to them and say, you know, what you did hurt, but the hardness of my heart, I need to soften it and say to you, despite your absence, despite who you was, despite who I made you out to be, whether that was even real or not, because we don't know adult story until we actually, talk to people.
Which was Donald's point, yeah.
So I'm sorry for being so hard to not even desire a relationship with you. It's almost as if you didn't desire a relationship with you, and now you don't desire, and
Goes both ways.
Go
I
on.
can take exactly what you said and ask him the exact same thing.
I agree.
According to the good book.
And I can kind of understand Ron. I didn't have the uncles and stuff like that. I had coaches. That was it.
Wow.
That was it. I had coaches, but like uncles and stuff. But I am that uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
My nephews, the way they deal with their dad issues. I mean, I can see what, because if they have questions, if they need that man time, me and my nephews go out to eat and stuff like that. We had those conversations and stuff like, so they didn't necessarily miss that from him. So they don't really have that desire. Like my nephew's about to get married, and he was like, "Man, I don't want that dude at my wedding." He said that about it. He meant it. He was like, "Man, I don't want him at my wedding."
You have fathered them. You have fathered Nicholas and Wesley. And sir, I commend you for, even though all the things that you've been through, sir, you put your heart and soul in doing the very best you could for those nephews, that they wouldn't have to experience the very things that you've had to experience. And so when he gets married,
yeah, I just want to be smarter. That's why, because I knew what the deficit was when I graduate college. I come out, the deficits became very evident of the things I didn't know, and it was like, I know I don't know, but it's like, what is it that I don't know? It was crazy. It's like I'm missing something, but I don't know what I'm missing. And it was at that time I got around my father-in-law. He recognized the deficit, and my wife, at the time we was dating, was like, "Why are you with my daddy all the time?" So I'm trying to get some things that I'm missing. And I was fortunate to be in a place where there were men who were dedicated husbands and the whole nine. And so I'm there, I'm trying to absorb all I can, And so I was in there enough to where by the time me and my wife got married, I had filled in some voids.
But you took the opportunity to learn what those deficits were from other male figures.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than that father that was.
Yeah, that's why I say I can understand, because my nephew would probably say the same things you saying.
Yeah,
most young men will probably say the same thing.
Yeah,
because we
got to figure it out.
We do harden our hearts towards it. Most girls are a little bit different because of that emotional thing. They want to connect.
Oh man,
most guys will say that, but I say that because, but I say that most guys are hardened towards their fathers that were absent. They even go as far as to say "F that nigga," but I don't believe it's real. I honestly don't believe that wall that we build around ourselves to protect ourselves. That's the only reason why you build a wall, is to protect something. We're protecting ourselves from that pain that he caused. And
like you said, we're builders. Did you say that earlier? Man of builders. We're gonna
I think there's going to come a time. There's going to come a time where Ron or anybody might say that, damn it, they should have been more apologetic. But at that same moment, there's going to be a time where on the other side, there's going to be a person saying, damn it, I should have afforded that person a little more grace. I tend to agree with Cuz that the anger is disguising or covering up a pain. I'm a different dynamic for me. My father, although my parents divorced when I was 8, he was never really absent. We always knew where he was. But like I said earlier, when we came around, there was some awkwardness and some, anger at times. But I was fortunate enough to be in a dynamic situation. My mom was married to her brother's wife's brother, my dad. So my mom and her brother married siblings.
Gotcha.
So there was always an awkward dynamic. Like, my parents aren't together, but we still. And later on in life, when growing up, my father never attended church. He was a religious cynic. Church ain't nothing but a gamut. Ain't nothing but But later on in life, he ended up joining the same church that we were all members. So, I got my mom. Every now and then, my stepdad would come, and then on the other side of the church, my dad would be sitting in a pew. So,
Wow.
But so that allowed me to work through some of the hurt and some of the anger and some of the awkwardness that I was feeling, for 7, 8, 9, 10 years of my life. So
I want to co-sign too what Sean said. A lot of what Ron might be doing, and I know it's what I did. I wanted to also protect my girls. This guy is not trying. And he's making empty promises and not delivering. I know what that did to me. So the wall becomes, I'm not going to keep letting you hurt me. And I'm also not going to let you hurt my children. So I'd rather you stay on the outside of the wall doing whatever it is you want to do. Because here's the thing you get to as well, because while you say, oh yeah, there's hurt, there's pain, of course there's hurt and pain. But at the same time, you make it up in your mind that, or at least for me, I won't speak for Ron, I'll just speak for me. I reconcile that this is going to be what it is. It's not going to change. You're not going to be different because you've shown me you're not going to be different. So I'm not going to keep trying to force you to be something that you don't have a desire to be. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to let you do what you do, but I'm also going to be wise enough to protect my family. And that's what we did up until, through yesterday.
And the thing is, pain cannot last forever. I break my leg, it's going to heal at a certain point. When I
but you still might have a twinge
you might have
in
a
that
limp.
leg.
You might have a limp in that leg.
A limp and a little soreness when the weather changes.
Yeah, so. I broke a lot of bones coming up, but the pain went away. So just like him, he's not been there. When I was younger, when I was little, I'm pretty sure when I was little, I was, hey, where's he at? But after so long, that shit goes away.
I tell you, Ron, one of the happiest moments of my life to this day was when my father stood at my wedding and read scripture.
See, my father didn't do that. You know who read my scripture at my wedding? My grandmother. The matriarch of our family read at my wedding. happiest day of my life. Just for that. Damn, the brother coming down the aisle doing it. My grandmother did it.
So, Ron, how old are your kids, Ron?
Oh, shit. 27, 23, 16, and 15, 14, 13, somewhere around there. Damn, what am I last number?
Have they asked questions, or have either of them tried to reach out to him?
They all asked. They all ended together with my wife trying to.
Yeah, they trying. Yeah.
My wife has reached out to my mother and everything, and my mother, she tells them, but every time she let's go do it. There is nothing, nothing at all. You cannot be a grown ass man, have kids, and be so prideful that you can't apologize for your mistake and go take care of your kid.
So let me ask this question. If he were to find you and to genuinely try the effort, well, right. I know he's going to be cussed out in this. And he earned that cuss out, Ron. He earned that cuss out. But at the end of that cuss out, if he stayed and said, "You right, but I still want to try to make it right," would you let him?
If he honestly came and did an honest conversation, I would.
Okay.
But there is no way in God's green earth, no way in hell.
You're not initiating nothing.
Hell no.
Yeah. I got
you. And the funny thing is, I tell my wife all the time, and she always tell my kids for me to stop saying it. I told myself many years ago, I treat him like a nigga that died. When people ask me, "Where's my father?" I'm like, my father's not even alive because he's never been around. So he's literally like a guy who died at birth that I've never seen before.
So you've already been there.
He's never been there. So I'm a test. I consider it a test tube baby. If you never there from day of birth till now.
So Vonda got the wrong strategy. She talking to the wrong guy. she should be going to him saying, "Hey man, why don't you make this right?"
Bruh, I'm telling you, they're gonna get the same thing on his end. I guarantee you. This sternness he got about him, I guarantee you he got that from him. I guarantee you.
And the thing is, he's got other kids. They're all out there. They're younger than me. I don't know none of them, but I know he's got kids. But
would you like to know him?
Never done. Only reason I want to know him, so when I was younger, so I didn't mess with one of them.
I mean, listen.
That's real talk, though, Ron. That is real talk. That is real talk.
I'm telling you, when I was in high school, I remember meeting this young man. I said, man, I came home. I used to come home and have a conversation with my grandmother every time I got home from school about my day. I said, I met this boy. He is so cute. My grandmother said,
what do he look like?
What's his name? I said, his name was Jack, blah, 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 Jackson. She said, what's his mama's name? I said, well, his mama's name is
just make it
Lunell or something. Yeah. She said, "Oh, that's your cousin."
Yeah. And that's the scariest
now I'm sitting there going,
about anything.
How was I supposed to know that these are cousins? She like, all you gotta know is who his mama is. I'm like, well, that didn't tell me nothing because our family didn't have that type of relationship where we had family reunions and stuff. When I met Lloyd and his family be having family reunions and every branch of the family reunion and stuff, and they all come together. I didn't have that. Where in Louisville, it's small enough where you be like, that person might be. And I'm like, I don't want my kids to be like, Mama, I'm in love. Oh, really? Okay, what? Who is it?
and people on the show don't take my situation as the norm because it's actually
more normal than you think.
It's more normal than you think. And I'm a different breed, so don't think everybody's like me. I am a totally different breed. So
I don't know if you are, Ron, because I
it's not unusual. It's not unusual.
Yeah, I don't think you are. I think there are a lot of people that have a similar thought process, like and justifiably so. My kids have never had to beg me to love them. They've never had to do that. Please, Daddy, please love us. No, I love them. I love them since the first time I laid eyes on them, and that's never going to change. I don't. I'm like you, Ron. I don't understand a father who could father a child and then look at that child, see that child, and not want to be in that child's life for the rest of his life. I don't. That is so foreign to me.
And the thing is, you didn't have to be in the house to be in that child's life. It's just being in that child's life.
Being in that child's life, period. Yeah.
So here's how I look at growing up. When I was a kid, I saw my parents one way. They were my heroes.
Right.
My dad was a hero to me, even though I didn't know all that he was doing. My mom I was a mama's boy, y'all. She was my hero. Shiro, whatever you want to call me. But as I got older as a man, I blamed Dad for a whole lot. And he was wrong in a lot of areas. But as I became a man, I realized, well, I'll be damned. Mom has some faults too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
We have to be very careful blaming one parent as if there wasn't another parent involved. To this day now, I recognize one of my mom's biggest mistakes. She kept running down to that damn church, leaving her husband at home. You can't do that to a man. And I realized only when I became an adult just how wrong she was for doing that. So we have to, as adults, eventually give grace to other people.
Yeah.
Because we start to recognize, you know what? Neither one of them was perfect.
No, I agree with that. I'm not allowed to say that on this show because of Al. Al will stone me if I say anything negative about my mom. He's threatened me on many occasions, which I feel like is inappropriate, but whatever. But you're 1,000% correct. I just said he was correct. Al. I didn't start highlighting stuff. But you're 1,000% correct. I just don't know if I want to highlight those elements and I don't want to highlight those elements and completely absolve him at the same time.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you also say you got to blame both parents. We all know everybody's not perfect. You guys heard me say that all the time. Everybody's not perfect.
Miss Gloria was.
But she was perfect.
Gloria was.
According to
and I know my mom's flaws.
Yeah.
And damn it, I reconcile those flaws every day.
But I think because I spent the most time with my mom.
But damn it, Slewfoot has more flaws and more issues than what my mom would have. He made a conscious choice, regardless of what happened between them, regardless of what was done. As a man, you made a conscious choice not to be there.
Go ahead, Mama Noise.
And
having spent
book, I forgave him. I don't forget.
Spending so much time with my mom or being raised solely with her, and I just believe that you become a product of your environment, and a lot of the trying to understand and talk things out, that just wasn't her strong point. I asked her flat out what happened between her and my father. Both of them Negroes, neither one of them wanted to tell me what happened. I mean, I wrote a 2-page legal pad sheet of paper to my dad and explained to him that a whole lot of choices I made in my life I probably wouldn't have made if I'd have just had some insight, if I'd just had some guidance, if you'd have just taught me and helped me to be a wise woman when it came to men. You know, mama could only teach me so much, but if she's just struggling in the same area, how's she gonna tell me, you know, she can't teach me that if she's struggling in the same area. Whereas when I tried to ask mama what happened, she was just like, oh, you know what, we just divorced. And I'm like, did y'all talk about it to try to work things out? She said, no, we just walked. She said, I just left. I said, so I said, so you just left. You just left. She said, you know what? The best way I can describe it is a funeral without a burial. What? So my father pleads and begs to try to work things out. My mother, like, the issue's deaded. I moved on. I got my kids and I'm moving on. Not considering the kids. Just, I can handle this myself. I got this. Not thinking the kids need him like they need you. But
how many kids are falling victim to a woman's pride? It's not that the woman needs the man, it's the kids.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's I've even seen couples, the father is there, but because the father doesn't parent the same way that the mother does, then it's wrong. It's like y'all two different people. Why you think y'all gonna parent the same? Right, it's like if he's not doing it your way, he's not doing it right. And I'm like, what kind of foolishness is this? You mad at him because he don't deal with the kids the same way you deal with the kids.
Right.
And in the same breath, you got your husband right here, and you always say my kids. They're not just your kids, them his kids too.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of kids that are falling victim to a woman's pride.
It's a very tricky dynamic, man. I don't fault my mom for leaving my dad, to be honest with you, because as I understand the story, he was abusive, so I get it, and I would never want her to stay in that situation. I know but I also know the mistakes that I believe she made as well. But the one thing I can give her credit for is what you just said. Ron, she stayed, man. She didn't give up. She wasn't like, well, this is too much for me, I'm gonna go do something else. Deuces to the wind. She stayed through it all.
That is so key.
I mean,
regardless how bad it was, and I was an asshole growing up.
I don't believe that, Ron. That's not possible coming from you.
She stayed. She remarried and you know, all that fun stuff, but I didn't ever look at that person as a father either. So, but yeah, am I mad at her for certain things that she did? Hell yeah. I mean, who's not mad at their parents for things that they did? But she stayed. She didn't give me away. She didn't pawn me off somewhere else. She stayed.
Yeah. This was really helpful to me. I gotta be honest with y'all. I'm being selfish today. I normally don't say that about the shows that we do, but this one was really helpful to me. Because like I said, I have been and still kind of in a weird headspace because I really honestly didn't know what to feel about yesterday. I didn't know how to reconcile it and say, okay. And I'll even say I felt a guilt because I felt like I should have been more emotional than I was or am. But I'm not, because if I'm being perfectly transparent, it's hard to feel a deep emotional lack for a person that you barely know. I don't know him. I don't know him. I could lie to myself and create an emotion, but I would be lying to myself. But here's what I did final selling on yesterday, and I'm still in that area, and I think I'll keep exploring because I want to know. I want to take this as far as I need to take it for healing. I am grateful to him. Like I said earlier, I know I was joking, but I was being serious. Listen, I'm not here if he doesn't do what he does. And I don't get the life that I now have if he doesn't do what he does.
Right.
So I can't say his contribution was meaningless or not substantive because it was. I'm here because of it.
But it was only a contribution.
Well, but it was a hell of a contribution, Ron. Now, I mean, let's listen.
He put a little work in. He put a little work.
I thank him. I'm just
right.
gonna put that in there just for free.
Right. So I can't not celebrate the contribution. I just obviously, selfishly, I wish it had been more. Selfishly, I wish it had been more.
And because I would have more sorrow if something happened to you than my own father. Think about it. And that's literally how little it means to me for him.
You know, my heart hurts that so many young Black men have the story of you guys. That should not be our story. That we don't care about, or we don't feel a certain way about the passing of our fathers because their asses were not around and I don't know who he was. No fault of the kid, that the kid never knew who he was. But that's a sad commentary on our society, that so many young men have that experience. And even though I'm looking at you guys on this here device here, and I see good men, I honestly do. How much better could we have been if we had a father that taught us the way God wanted it to be done in our lives? How much better could we? Because listen, whether you like it or not, Ron, genetically you are from him and your makeup is of him.
And that's what I never said.
So your strength and who you are is tied to that man.
Yeah, I said his DNA.
How much better could I have been as a man if I had a dad that poured into me manhood?
But that's the biggest key you said. How much better I would have been if I had a man to pour into me manhood. You have to be a good father to bring up good kids. You have to be a father of something positive.
I would say this about that. I agree to a point. I had a cousin, first-hand experience, a very close cousin who was raised like brothers. And his daddy was an alcoholic. And every Friday and Saturday night, especially on Friday nights because he got paid, there would be a rumble in the house because he would drink up most of the money and wouldn't give the mama the money, and she would whip his ass. I'm telling you the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Okay.
He witnessed that his entire life. A dad that would go work hard, make his little money as a carpenter, then drink up all the money. Or the mama would send him up there to the nightclub, go get some money from your daddy. We got to pay that rent. And he'd go up there and tell his daddy, give me some money. And his daddy would say, I ain't got no goddamn money. He said, Daddy, give me that money. Mama said, give it. He would take the money from his daddy. I witnessed that firsthand. That ain't no lie. But one thing his daddy did, now listen to me now. This is the first cousin that's grown now, living his life. One thing his daddy showed him. Never sat him down and said, son, this is how you be a man. Never sat him down and say, son, this is what you do and this is how you do it. One thing his dad did do is his dad loved him. Folks, I want to tell you that made that cousin of mine, that boy, into the man that he is today. Because he's never doubted for 1 second in his life that his dad loved him. Whatever he wanted, daddy was going to do it. Whatever he needed, daddy was going to come.
Mm-hmm.
His dad loved him. Up until the day his daddy died, that son took care of daddy.
But that love made
Because
that
he
daddy.
never doubted.
And that love made that daddy teach his son that I'm gonna do any and everything
for you.
I got to do for you, for you to become
the man that I wasn't.
That he wasn't. But he did what he had to do and showed him all the stuff that is needed in order for him to be the man that he needs to become.
Correct.
So it's love.
So the key to parenting is love.
Love is part of it, but it's also teaching. You're teaching within that love.
Well, see, a part of that is some of us have a deficit and we don't know what to teach, but we know how to love. We can love. If I could just be present and love you, I can teach you through that love.
That's what I'm saying. You teach it through that love, but that love has to be there.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
That love wasn't there for us. That love came from other real men.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I mean, you look at the men, but God is always orchestrating certain things. And when I look at it, I got what I needed. You know what I'm saying? Despite his efforts, despite what, the lack of, I got what I needed. But when I look at even my father and I look beyond him, and we all have choices to make, but there's a lot of circumstances that, because a lot of times they're reacting to things that happen to them.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't agree, but I understand.
And everything has a circumstance, and you have to make a decision based on that circumstance.
Right.
Oh yeah, I recognize the short-sightedness of the decisions that were made. I get it. She got on your nerves. He did this. They did that. Oh, we got divorced. Oh, I can't see my child. You're gonna jam me up on this child support. You're making it hard for me. I get the short-sightedness of it, but the blurred lines come from me when I listen to what Cuz says. At the end of the day, it is a sad commentary that here we are, and the best I can say is he is the reason I'm here, but he's not the reason I am who I am.
Right.
That's sad. I agree with you.
You know what I mean? And that's tough. That's really tough. And by the way, if you think those words come out my mouth easy, you're 1000% incorrect. It's not. It's not easy to say that. Right. It hurts to say that, but it is my reality.
Yeah.
And it is inescapable. So I deal with it. I am dealing with it. And this conversation actually serves. It's kind of funny because we knew we were doing the women's show this week based on some things that happened over the weekend. And I kept saying to myself, man, we really need a good lead-in. We need a good lead-in show to that show on Women's Wednesday. And what would that lead-in be? And so God in his infinite wisdom gave us a lead-in. So tomorrow we have some women coming on the show that are going to join us. And we want to play the videos that we've gathered. And we want to ask that question. If I'm a strong, independent, powerful, creative, sexy, intelligent, magical black woman, why do I need a black man?
Derek,
I'll be honest with you.
Did you see their flyer, Derek? Did you see their flyer?
Don't ask the pastor that. Don't ask him
that.
The pastor, the flyer is merely clickbait.
That's now you know what? There's a scene in Love Jones. In Love Jones, where he says,
as soon as I saw it, I clicked on it.
Then
it worked. It did exactly what it was supposed to.
Go ahead, Mama Noise.
And there's a scene in Love Jones where the guy says, "Put these glasses on." He said, "You can't be looking at that." He said, "You see these glasses?" He said, these glasses is checking out all right. He said, okay, I can see. So the pastor saw.
But you know what, Mama Noise? You spend all your time on the woman on the right, and the whole purpose of the flyer
It's the
you
five
don't
women
even
at the
see the 5 beautiful women at the.
Oh, I saw them, but that ain't the reason why that so many on not you, Pastor, but some of the ones on this panel that be trying to say, "Let me see that flyer one more again." You didn't need to see it one more again. You saw it the first time.
Well, they didn't necessarily tell you why they want to see it again.
Fire.
I mean, look. So I'm saying, why?
Fire.
I need to see it. It'd be different if you said, "Let me get my glasses." There's so many words going down the screen. I'm trying to look it up. They like, "No, let me see it one more time." It was at least one more time, 4 times. Yes.
Well, can I see that bottle of
Pastor Smith,
that Sierra has?
Don't spread fertilizer on her garden. Pastor Smith, don't fertilize that garden. We dealt with this enough yesterday.
Mama Noise got a lot of backup coming tomorrow, so she'll be fine.
That's right.
She'll be fine. So that's tomorrow during the day. Tomorrow night, the first round of the playoff has been settled. We're going to talk about it on the 5. There could be casualties. I don't know. But we're going to talk about what
there's been enough casualties this weekend. So.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. We got a lot to discuss. So that'll be interesting. Also, what will be interesting is Thursday morning, Deion Branch, man, is going to come on with us, the great New England Patriot and former University of Louisville Cardinals, going to come and tell us some amazing stuff that's going on. And I cannot tell you guys about Friday. I talked to Myron Montgomery. Some of y'all may or may not remember. Depends on how far back you go with Soul Train. I go back far with Soul Train. Okay. So I remember the dancers and, the Soul Train line and all the stuff they used to do. And Myron Montgomery is one of those legends that was on the show that he invented the Harlem Shake. And he's just an OG. And so he got stories upon stories from behind the scenes of that show that he's gonna share with us, and we're just gonna have a good time on Friday. So don't miss all that. So that's what's heading out this week on the Noise Media, and tomorrow we will have other new ways to watch the shows on YouTube. Just give you FYI, everybody's getting their own YouTube channel. Every show's getting their own separate YouTube channel going forward. So we're gonna build different.
Ganked again.
Well, we might, but at least we won't get ganked all at one time. There's a possibility. I ain't gonna take that part from us. That may happen, but not all at one time. Everybody will be on this episode. Did he have a fedora? I don't know if he had a fedora on the show. He wore a lot of different outfits on that show.
Cause you old enough. You remember back in the day when they
Listen, all aside, I don't know if there is a more iconic black show than Soul Train. I was thinking about that. I was like, what's more iconic than Soul Train? Maybe the Cosby Show. Maybe you can make a case for the Cosby Show. Maybe the Jeffersons or stuff like that. But Soul Train was around like 30 years. You muted, Al. You muted.
You have to think during that time, not every black household had televisions. So.
Oh, I love me some Soul Train. Oh
man. I was telling you, there's going to be a Soul Train line this weekend at somebody's wedding.
I mean, even though I was floored to find out they was lip syncing, but
but we got some stuff to share about that on Friday as well.
Well,
the rumor is about to be debunked.
Not everybody was lip syncing.
Not everybody was lip syncing.
I mean,
certain ones
were absolutely lip syncing, but not everybody was lip syncing.
Okay.
So, this was good. The Thought Engineer. Y'all went different last night. Y'all went with a different subject last night. The Jasmine Sullivan route, which is one of my favorite albums, by the way.
Yeah.
How was the response last night?
Oh man. Oh, it was a great response. My boy Ron was jumping in with the gems, letting us trying to help the people out, man. Just
these hoes.
Hey man, people compromise. They compromise themselves when they get desperate. They compromise their values. They everything they said. I won't do this. I won't do that. Yeah. So
well, that's what to me. That's what makes the song so powerful, because they're saying, "Look, in order to just keep up, I look like I'm gonna have to go the route of all these other girls." And when the numbers, listen, it's the Bachelorette, man, or the Bachelor. If I'm gonna compete and get a role, I gotta be willing to do something to distinguish myself from the crowd.
But does it matter, like the Defender of the Earth, if you have your father in your home raising the young lady where she doesn't have to just run out and try to find somebody to provide for her? Some of them are in that position because they like, okay, and granted, some of the stuff in social media and entertainment altogether, make them think that what they have is not enough and they want to be the person that's got this and got that. I understand, and that's not really a want, but I mean, not really a need, but really a want. But it seems like a lot of them ventured out to try to, provide for themselves, and thinking that the only way to get to be provided for is to have the outfit on that you can see through, to go and I hate to reference Cardi B all the time, but when she said nobody was checking for her when she was stripping without the extra booty and the extra breast, and when she went and had the augmentation, and then had behind added, she's like, her tips went up, and then her opportunities open, and everything, all these doors start opening for her once she had all this stuff added to her body. Well, so was she really being thirsty, or was she just
she full of shit?
I try to tell people, dating is a market. It's a market, and people have to be marketable to a certain degree. But my co-host said something that struck me last night. He said, your value is increased by what you won't do.
Your value is increased by what you won't do.
What you won't do. Listen, because here's the thing. As I said last night, when there's a lot of something, just take a store. If they have a lot of a product, right? What do?
Put it on sale.
They put it on sale. So you have now cheapened that thing to get it to move. If you're gonna hold value, you can't cheapen it.
Are you saying that they need to start discounting their poo-poo?
Yeah.
Stop treating it like it's Sam's and Costco.
Yeah.
A used car. Quit trying it before you buy it.
Costco.
Ron said that, and it sent me down, because you're right. Used cars, you have to test them out, because you don't know what problems they have. But a new car has a warranty guarantee. You do not absorb the cost of the issues it has.
Yep.
That's different.
Yeah, but as soon as you drive it off the lot, you lose value.
And you can't
think about that statement. I'm gonna think about that statement. You say that one more time. I want to make sure I got it. I need to write it down. Because we probably gonna bring this up on tomorrow's show.
Your value is increased by what you won't do.
Your value is increased.
I tell you,
sound like a song.
Think about. I tell you, Rolls Royce dealerships do not get tire kickers.
They don't even advertise.
They don't get tire kickers either. If you step through those doors, you serious.
You buy it.
Well, what did they do? Have they ever compromised? You ever seen Rolls Royce put on in a sale paper?
No, not luxury.
Not unless it's used.
No,
You don't
even the used one.
You don't even see advertisements. You ever seen an advertisement for a Rolls Royce?
I've never.
No, Ashton Martin commercials.
Listen, we'll go back to Cardi B and them augmentations.
Yeah.
Listen, the truth of the matter is, if she was naked up on a pole sliding down and she had some skills, people would have paid attention to her.
No.
Yeah. Now, listen,
she was still getting tips because she wouldn't have kept stripping if she wasn't making money.
Exactly. She was making
money.
but
she said she wasn't making.
Hold on. Damn it. What happened was she went and got the augmentations and she felt better about herself.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
I think the augmentations was to distract from the dialect and the because that's a hard pill to swallow.
She was looking around and she understood to compete with what's around me, I got to make some changes.
When she felt better about herself on that pole, she performed better. That's when the money increased.
It was a confidence issue.
She ain't got to perform that good. She got big ass big titties because they're gonna go throw the money.
There are a lot of strippers in the strip joints that know they don't have the accessories. I'm telling you the truth.
The accessories.
That's why I'm struggling. Can I tell you? That's why I'm struggling with the question, with the statement that your value is increased by what you won't do. Because if I pay a whole lot of money for a Rolls Royce and the shit ain't got a radio, I'm gonna be pissed.
Every Rolls Royce has a radio.
That's my point. Every Rolls Royce has a radio. Every car has a radio. They all play music. So where is the value coming from? Is it being assigned or is it truly valuable? What makes it valuable? That's what I'm struggling. That's why I'm struggling with the question, the statement. Like you say, your value is increased by what you won't do. Okay, nigga, if you don't have a trunk, I'm pissed. I just paid $300,000 for a car. I ain't got no trunk.
I think value is my point once we get off the show, because if I say what I'm gonna say,
and a lot of this is gonna come back tomorrow, I know. But do you understand what I'm saying? Because there are certain things men are looking for when they get a woman, and if she don't do those things, and I done paid the ultimate price.
Yeah, I think value, just like in a woman, her value, its value is determined by its desirability.
So you don't think a woman decreases her value by doing certain things? You don't think?
Okay, let me ask you this question.
We decrease our value by doing.
I'll answer that by asking this question: has your wife's value decreased by the things she's done with you?
My wife's value would decrease by doing certain things. Absolutely, it would.
I ain't what I asked you, nigga. You changed the subject. I said, has your wife's value decreased by the things she's done?
That's because my wife knows her value to me. She won't do that bullshit.
Ninja, answer the question.
I just did.
But what if he the only one got access? What if everybody had access? Now the value goes down. If everybody has access.
But the statement, okay, but listen to what
about accessibility.
I got you, but listen to what the statement says. Your value is increased by what you won't do.
Right.
So
think about what we talked about.
All women have the same thing in common. What do all women have?
Titties.
And yeah, they got
Mama Noise, let them get it out their system before tomorrow. Leave it alone.
They got all three of those, right? If all women are constantly giving that away, and also they're all doing oral, but the one girl isn't, who you going for?
So maybe the statement should be your value is increased by who
she's doing something.
Who you won't do.
But she's doing something. She's not doing something that everybody else is doing. So her value is up because everybody's going for her because she's not doing it.
But that's my point. Maybe the statement should say your value is increased by who you won't do. Because I'm just not going to do everybody.
That's why I said your value is determined by your desirability. We don't want the girl that's doing everybody. We don't want the car that everybody's got.
That's what I'm saying.
So we all saying the same thing.
We do want the what. We
Yeah,
just don't want the who.
We all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, we ain't all say the same thing. I disagree with Mr. Norris. I disagree.
Well, you just be disagreeing with me on spec,
No,
nigga. You don't really actually disagree.
I was just trying to get along. Just
No. I'm just listening to the statement. I'm going, now, wait a minute now, because we all want certain things. So why would that be devalued?
But when Opal figures out her value is far greater than what? Oh, I can't say that.
She has no value on the open market. She only has value to me.
Wow.
You, sir,
are
still
the drop
you,
is
sir,
lies.
still sitting on a throne of lies.
Lies. How do you automatically decrease her value?
I'm just thinking she ain't got no value on the open market.
No
Oh, yes, she does.
She has no value.
What? She what?
We didn't have to put new tires on it.
No.
Damn.
Black his screen, Lloyd.
No.
Send him back.
That's
to the
not
green
true.
room.
A used
Send him
Cadillac
back
is
to the
still
green
a
room.
If
used
that's
Cadillac
the
is still
case,
valuable in the
if
black
you said-
neighborhood, because
If you saying that about her, that would be the same for all married women. Is that what you're trying to say?
Jay, don't bring up my happy home trying to destroy yours.
I mean, because you say then they ain't got no value on the open market. Because I went out walking the other day, and this Nigerian man was trying to pick me up. I said, "Brother, I am happily."
don't get the Nigerian
married, sir.
Boy, y'all see, Mama knows.
So
you don't go there with me because
I'm just saying
there are plenty of people that shop at Dollar General.
No, that ain't no Dollar General.
Now wait just a damn minute.
I'm just saying.
I didn't say Mama Noah's was a Dollar General.
I'm not gonna let you say Opal is.
Huh?
I'm not gonna let you say Opal is no Dollar General.
Redbone, what you crying about? Hey.
My point is, I think the point of Mr. Derek is if a woman values herself, there are certain things she won't do. And that value is seen by others because she carries herself and holds herself and presents herself in a certain way. If you open up to any and everybody, you are no longer valuable.
So are we saying? So are we saying and assuming? Well, we got a good conversation tomorrow. I can't wait to get these ladies in the room. Are you saying that because she put herself on social media and showed you her stuff in her thumb, she is now devalued?
She is not as valuable to those that really want something with her. Now, like I say, I hit it. Y'all don't want to talk. Y'all don't want to talk.
So well, no, because you said you would hit it, so she got some value.
But her value is not to keep.
That's not what she want though.
That's not value. Exactly.
The value
She just
is to
wants
get the
somebody
value
to hit it. That's what she put out there. But if she wants somebody to spend a life with, and go that route, man.
Okay. I don't say I disagree. I'm not saying I disagree. I just like to, ask the question.
We all knew in school. See, Al B told you to wrap it up, but you wouldn't wrap it up. So anyway,
we had a few minutes left. So there you go.
We all knew in school the girl that would do the blowjobs under the bleachers.
Yeah, I should have wrapped it up, Al. I should have wrapped it up. That's my fault.
We all knew that girl.
Did I not say this earlier about the whole value thing?
That was my fault.
Exactly. She didn't have value. We were using. Come on.
She had value, just not
opportunity.
She's just not relational value. Like we wasn't great wife her up and make her. We wasn't gonna parade her around as our girl.
There you go.
You wasn't gonna what?
We wasn't gonna parade her around as our girl.
That's what
that wasn't gonna happen.
That's what we talking.
But if she offered, but now let's not sit here and act like if she offered to say, "Listen, I am available."
Zaria, go ahead and log off, honey.
She should have logged off a long time ago.
Yeah. But a lot of our interactions with her were in the secret, in the dark. We didn't want nobody to know that we was doing what we was doing.
Right.
Master Annie.
You know your value by what time of day he spends with you.
I agree with that. Ron.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
What time of day? What?
What type of day he spends with?
How you gonna chime in with the?
If he don't call you until after 11,
Yeah.
you have no value.
If he's never walked in the mall with you and got a Cinnabon or a Sbarro's slice of pizza, you probably don't have much value.
That's all we was trying to say.
If the club ends at 4 and he's at your house at 5, you know your value.
That's your value.
Yeah. If it's always let me swing by the drive-thru and grab us something to eat instead of let's go out and grab a bite to eat, you know your value.
Right.
When the only people who know you are his friends that would laugh at him.
But see, we talking about old references. Here's the new references. If he don't want nobody to see your Instagram page, if he ain't claiming you on his Facebook page.
I was gonna say if he ain't on your Instagram page.
If y'all haven't updated your status.
If you popped up on the screen that said my nigga, you know your status.
It's complicated.
But the problem is there's an element to the game that's changed in all of this that we're not discussing. Because that one young lady that we saw in the poster, she probably make more than everybody on the screen. And she did so by taking her shirt and putting it right just so high. And by doing that, she got 1 million likes.
But
and somebody offered her a check.
Yeah, she was pulling up.
Yeah.
She was pulling up a shirt. I never knew that. See?
Good day.
But she got more money.
We're
But she
starting
still
to
don't
lie
have
now,
value.
so we might as well end the show. We're starting.
No, that's the reality. Oh, you talking about Al's line? Okay.
Yeah.
Lies.
Yeah. No, and see, here's the problem. She might not have value to you as a wife, but she got value.
And the thing is, and we also gotta quit looking at what people's jobs are versus what they actually are. Because a lot of people do that as a job.
And here's the other part of it, Ron. They're changing the path of this statement that has been made. They're changing the path of it. Because they're saying, I may not be able to get the man I want by covering up, but I might be able to get the man I want by leveling up.
Not all hoes are the same anymore. They look different.
I'm telling you, no, listen. But listen. Cardi B is an admitted hoe. She admitted. She said, I'm out here in these streets doing stuff with men and women. And then she went and chose the husband she wanted.
But
and if he left tomorrow, she'd go get something else. Full hoe status.
There's 2 more members of Amigos.
Yeah. So she married another hoe.
But she could go. Listen, y'all. Let's not act like Cardi B couldn't get something greater than that.
Oh, somebody's gonna compromise.
That's what I'm saying. And part of it ain't got nothing to do with how she looked. Part of it is, listen, she wrote the man $1 million thing for his birthday or for Christmas. You think there's some brothers out here that don't want that $1 million check?
But are you married for love or are you married for money?
2 million. Nobody marries for love, Ron. You're married for what you can build together.
There you go.
And it's really all this has to do with black fathers, so it don't matter.
I think we're getting value twisted, but we need to discuss that tomorrow on the show.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Value and value.
We got to get, and that's what we're going to do.
What'd you say?
Calling value is not value. But we talk about that later.
We will talk about that later. See, that's what we call the business mama noise a tease.
When you're financially illiterate and you start using incorrect terms.
Wait, what?
Oh Lord.
Value and assets.
Revenue and profits.
This was good. Guys, I want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for jumping on today. This show will forever be special to me. And dare I say one of my favorites, because of what my brothers came through and did for me today. So I appreciate you all. And we will come back and do it all over again tomorrow here on Talkin NOIZ. That is Cuz Noise over there. The pastor and righteous deacon of First Baptist of FU, and his good deacon down there, Ron Nolan. It's Al B. That's Mama Noise. You missed the thought engineer and LeBaron Burton, but they'll be back. We will see you all mañana.
We're talking noise. We're talking noise. Talking noise.